it is. There it is. There it is, guys. Got a new Prezi in. It's Monday, January 23rd, and that is Hail to the Chief. That's the song they play, man. Probably copped that from the Native Americans back in the day. I wonder if that burns them a little, you know? Hail to the Chief, knowing that, that honestly probably a lot of whites took their land, and a lot of Europeans, I'm betting. Well, a lot of times it's just really generalized that whites did it, but I'm betting there were a lot of Europeans there on horses as well. I got some tea. I'm not feeling that well. I don't know what I got. I just got like a kind of a head, just flu-ish kind of thing. I think I had this homeless dude, right? And I respect the homeless, bruh. I've lived in some shitty places. I slept in a ball pit one night. Actually, when I first got to LA, the first couple of nights I was here, a buddy of mine and I were looking for a place, right? We're looking for an apartment. So we didn't have a place to sleep. So what we did was, at night we would jump over the fence at the McDonald's off of Wilshire Boulevard here in Los Angeles, and we would sleep in the ball pit, the play area. We would sleep in the ball pit, right? So the first night we're in there, and it's cool. It's kind of, it was a little cold. But you get under the balls, it's not as bad. Your body heat kind of builds up. And we were wearing a lot of extra winter, attire. Then the second night, same thing. We're in there. And during the day, we're checking out seedy places and, trying to figure out what we can get approved for to get a lease. The third night, we're in the pit. We jump in after they shut down. They shut at 11. Get out of there at 5. And we're talking. We're in the ball pit. And all of a sudden, there's like an Asian dude on from the slide. We hear a guy say, "Hey, can you guys keep it down out there?" There was another guy sleeping on the plastic slide that came down into the ball pit. So, I think it was an Asian dude. He sounded Asian. Could have been a guy with a lisp or with, what else could he have had? Maybe a part of his tongue was damaged or something. But he sounded Asian. Sounded like an Asian gentleman. So I guess I have been a little bit homeless. That's as homeless as I've been. But outside of that, I've lived in some real shitholes. Grew up in a shithole. But anyway, I borrowed a homeless guy was like, doing raps. And I respect that. It's something, you got to come up. I've never really heard of a guy going from homeless to pop sensation. But it could happen. And so the dude, he gave me his headphones. He's like, listen to this, hit. It's got to be, of course it's a hit, bro. I haven't even heard it. Let me judge that. But anyway, he gave me his headphones, and I put them in my ears. And that, I think, was the bad move, because after that, I just felt my brain and my head and everything, I just felt squirrely. So I just shouldn't have borrowed that dude's headphones. So that's just a note for the future. Don't use your own headphones. Don't borrow a homeless guy's headphones. Anyhow, it's January 23rd. Dun, 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 dun. Hail to the chief. Hail to the chief. This chief, what have I been up to, man? Been feeling okay, man. Some indecisiveness recently. We're going to get into a couple of things in a minute, into some of the news. I'm going to talk about a little bit of sensuality. Give you guys a little sensual report on, some sensual stuff I've been going through and dealing with. What else? We'll talk about, we got a request from a fan via Snapchat. I promised you guys I'd talk about some oral, different oral sensual activities that I had when I was younger. And a couple more sounds. I got a few more sounds. I just kind of went through my brain and found some sounds that I make. So that's what's on the docket. What, man? I was feeling indecisive. I I get in this thing where like I'm hungry, but I don't have any food, you know? And I have money to get food, you know, I'm thankful for that. But so I'm at the grocery store, you know, finally get, you know, give in to my desires of my stomach, and I get over there and they got the yogurts, bruh, right? I'm in the yogurt section, and I like the dairy section, man. I'm a dairy guy. You know, I'm lactose intolerant, but I'm brave. You know, I get out there in those, you know, I mean, you're out in those fart streets a lot of times, bro, if you choose to do dairy, and if your system isn't really, doesn't have the proper gradient for dairy, you know, you kind of can live in those fart streets. So they got the yogurts, dude, and the yogurts, it was 8 for $4. Now that's a deal, bro. That's a deal, you know. And the problem was, I start picking them out, and I just get bit by something that always plagues me is I'm indecisive, you know. And I know one of the cornerstones of a real champion human and of a good man is that, you know, he's decisive. And I'm trying to be more decisive. You know, I know that I struggle with it, and I want to do it better. You know, I want to make decisions better. But they got 8 for $4, but they got 30 flavors of yogurt. You know, like when I was young, they had they had blueberry and they had strawberry, bruh. You know, and then they also had nothing. That was the third flavor. Remember that? You ever accidentally get the nothing flavor? You know, like you would get, and you open it up, you think it's blueberry or strawberry, but it's nothing, bruh. It just tastes like a bucket of milk just gestated into your mouth, you know? That was really disheartening when my mom would let us pick out a yogurt and we got the wrong one. So anyway, I'm standing there. It's eight for $4, 50 cents a pop. You know, I'm in. They hooked me with the deal. They hooked me with the literature right there on the little thing. 8 for $4. But I can't, like, right out of the gate, I get 2 vanillas, bro. Because I do vanilla yogurts. I got 2 vanillas. But then the flavors start getting a little bit squirrely. They have key lime pie. Huh? I'm not, you know, I don't think I'm ready for that. So I copped a couple of cherries because that reminded me of when I was young as well. Cherry was like a new flavor, and everybody went berserkers for that. I copped a blueberry, even though I didn't like it. You know, we ate a lot of blueberry yogurt when I was young, and it just made me, you know, maybe I had a bad experience, I guess. But it just, I don't know. It just makes me feel poor when I eat blueberry yogurt. It makes me feel a little bit tender. They had lemon burst. I'm not doing that, okay? I think that's for, you know, it's a special type of man, maybe. You know, it might be for a woman that's just got a divorce or something. I don't know. But I'm not doing lemon burst, right? So I got a couple vanillas. I got the cherry. I got the blueberry. And I'm just sifting through these other flavors, dude. And they just started getting bizarre. They had gingerbread. I don't think we need it. And I ended up copping, actually, a couple of basic limes. Because I had lime once before, regular lime, not the key lime pie. But it kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. Maybe, you know, I don't know if maybe I'd been smoking cigarettes at the time, or maybe I'd just been in a bad mood when I ate it. So I copped a couple of limes. But literally, I'm standing there. I've been at the thing for probably 15 minutes, man, picking out, you know, trying to get my selection of 8 yogurts. So I think what I'm saying here is that I could never be president. Unless I get better at picking out yogurts, man. So anyway, that's where I'm at. I guess I'm feeling kind of indecisive. There was a lot of rain today. One of the Hollywood Hills kind of slid into the street. So, you know, maybe a couple of, you know, probably some wealthy people, you know, probably lost some very expensive pets or something. I have no clue what occurred. You know, probably some $30,000 rose bushes, you know, came down into into where us peons live. But that was going on, man. That's where I'm at, Joe. Just feeling a little bit indecisive. But yeah, we got a new president. The new president's in. I thought the inauguration was cool. I never watched it before. I think I'm just getting older now, where you start to kind of tune into those things. Because eventually you get old and just furious about politics, and then you die. You know, that's how it kind of works for most seniors. I thought Melania, the new first lady, looked beautiful, man. I thought that she looked nice in that dress. or I don't know if that's called a dress or not, but like this, light blue smock. And I thought it was cool, the little kid, man, the kid Baron, just to be like a kid and you're standing up there. It had to be so bizarre. I just kept kind of wondering what was going through his head. Like, does he even, realize the size of this event? Does he have any idea? I thought that was pretty cool to see the kid. And there's one point, there's a video out there if you haven't seen it, where his mom tells him to do something, and he like makes like this cat hands at her, dude. So I'm looking forward to that little kid getting in the White House and burning some curtains, or who knows what he's gonna do. I mean, that kid's gonna go through puberty in the White House, bro. I mean, anything is possible. So I'm really intrigued to see how it shakes down for little Baron. What else? What else is in the news? We have violent weather here. The most rain we've had. A lot of bad weather out in Georgia. People died. That's heartbreaking, man. Because usually a lot of times tornadoes are just, they're kind of they're like serial killers for poor people. Like, they just attack the poor. I mean, I don't know why people continue to build their homes in these alleys where these tornadoes frequent. I can understand you want to get ballsy and get out there and go toe-to-toe with a tornado, bro. I actually had a NATO experience, bro. I went toe-to-toe with a NATO. I'm popping a couple of, if you hear me chewing, that's a couple of, what are these? Melatonin gummy bears. They got little gummies. And they help your brain rest at night. Because I got an active brain. My brain's active. That's what they said. When I was a child, a lot of my children reports from school said active brain. Strong heart. Got the heart of a lesbian. My father always told me that when I was young. He told me I got the heart of a lesbian, which was always kind of stuck with me. I had an old dad. Some of you guys don't know. My dad was 70 years old when I was born. My dad was born in 1910. He was a missionary from Nicaragua. So anyway, what are we talking about? Let me get back to what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the tornadoes just going at poor people. And I had an experience. I was working on a farm when I was just out of college. In the summer times, I would work on a farm on the Louisiana-Mississippi border. And that was right off of Faraday and Vidalia, Louisiana. And that's where Jerry Lee Lewis is from, right around there. Goodness gracious, great balls of fire. You take my nerves and you're right on my brains. So I'd be over there, and I was just a farmhand, dude. I would do whatever, drive tractors, plant, clean, paint, odds and ends, man. That's what my deal was, dude. We'd get out there. I had a knife, had a gun in the truck. We'd get out there in the morning, and we'd get out there early, 7:30, and we worked till 7 or 6:30. I mean, we worked. It was a day's work, man. I was a man. And it felt good, man. It felt good to come home, and I couldn't even think about anything. I was so tired. I would just fall asleep. I would eat with the family. They'd put me up, and then I would fall asleep, and then I would wake up, crack of dawn, and we'd go again. That was it. And you worked as much as the weather permitted, so you could work 12, 13 days in a row sometimes. Anyhow, so one day I'm working at the farmhouse. I don't know what I'm doing, cleaning or maybe painting. And they had this other gentleman that was working with me. He was thick. I mean, this boy was coming in. He might be deceased now. He was, that size. The kind of size where when you meet him, you get a good look at him, because you know that you're not going to, a few years later, you probably won't get to look at them again, because, they're going to head on back to the spiritual realm because of their size, And this guy was just thick and just always just sweating out of his neck and his face, and just a sweet man, dude. He was a sweet man, bro. Anyway, we're working together, and there'd been bad weather coming through, and then a tornado report comes up, and it says that there's a tornado right in our area. So we go outside, and you can literally see this tornado, maybe 2,000 yards away, or a couple miles. I don't know how many yards 2,000 yards is. I mean, I know it's 2,000, but I have no clue how far that is. I made that up. I mean, I didn't, you know what I'm saying, dude? I'm guessing. So we're like, we know we got to hide in a ditch, dude. That's what you always heard, right? I think anyway. I mean, hell, that could be for anything. But for some reason, I just remembered that. I'm like, bro, we got to hide in this. We got to hide in this ditch. So we run across, and I get into a ditch, dude, right? Well, this guy, and it's a ditch, bro. It's like, I mean, it's probably 3 acres long, this ditch. It's a little irrigation canal. This dude gets in the ditch on top of me. On top of me, bro. So now I got this guy, 300-something pounds on my back, laying in this ditch. I mean, I'm heavily protected now from this storm, but just the ignorance really going through that man's skull at that time, that he wouldn't pick another spot in the ditch to be. I mean, it's kind of sacrificial, I guess, that he would get on top of me like that. It didn't feel homoerotic. I couldn't feel any of his waist touching me. It just felt like all just basically just a breadth of stomach and chest, torso meat. Just anyway, so that was just kind of a storm experience, man. I had to hole up in this ditch with this gentleman. And yeah, the storm, the tornado came close. It didn't, it damaged some stuff in the area, but we were fine. And that was that. So, I don't really have any, if there's a tornado coming, I don't know. What do you do? What do you do? I guess you get in the ditch. That's what I guess that's the advice. If you got a tornado coming, get in the ditch. And if you're poor, just know that these tornadoes are I mean, statistically, they're looking for you. I don't know if Mother Nature is just a killer. And that's how she chooses to just get the poor, but it seems to be enough evidence there where there's some validity to that. What else, man? I'll tell you this, dude. Yeah, Trump is in office. We got a new president. I think change is always exciting. I think, it was interesting. A few years ago, I kind of hated. For a long time, I've kind of felt like my generation, nothing ever happened in our environment that made us wake up in the morning with any feelings or any vigor or any, like our parents had, there were, our grandparents had like Vietnam, and some of our parents had Vietnam or World War I. There was a lot of World War II. Obviously, I'm not a big war buff. But they they got up and they had a feeling in their heart, like they had a cause, or they had I stand for this, or when they had all the Woodstock and the, people were like, or civil rights, like people would wake up with a beat in their heart for a reason to be alive. And I feel like I've grown up in this generation where you just wake up like, all right, I'm up, and maybe that just could have been some of my own lackadaisicalness, but now I feel like people are waking up with some fervor. They realize that, their government probably isn't going to help them out very much, and that we have to do it ourselves. I don't care what, if you're Democrat or Republican or who you support, but I feel like that's kind of cool. It's pretty interesting to wake up and have just a sense of purpose when it comes to a bigger realm of something bigger than ourselves, not just ourselves. It's like now we wake up with some fervor, and I think that's good. So that's one thing that I feel like is good. That's exciting. That you wake up with some fucking dick in your balls. With some fucking extra cooch juice in your curtains. You know what I'm saying, ladies? Like you got a little frickin' spittle in your griddle, And so I think that's exciting, man. I think it's always good when inspiration, and I think change does that. Any kind of change, if you're, anything gets you up in the morning and gets you fired up. That's what's going on. They got the new president. They had the march. They had the Million Women March, or I'm not sure how many women it was. A lot of women. And it was pretty powerful to see. I think a lot of the photos and stuff, because my mother was a hardworking woman, and she delivered newspapers since I was born, and she would deliver baked goods regionally on the weekend. She tried to keep us off of welfare, and we would get some food from the church and stuff like that. But so I think that was inspiring to see these women, getting together and just creating a bond there. Sometimes I think feminism, it just turns into like a hate men thing, and that's kind of scary. Because men, we're just doing the best we can. We don't fucking know. You think we know what's going on? No. We're doing the best we can. I mean, look at us. We don't know. We don't know. I was thinking that there's got to be some dark husbands out there who were praying for an ISIS attack on D.C., like hoping to get rid of their wives, I'm sure there was a couple of dudes somewhere thinking like, better give Janet a big hug. This could be it. There's a great movie called Get on the Bus, if you've never seen it. It was about the Million Man March. And I think it was for when Martin Luther King was speaking. It's pretty cool, man. Charles S. Dutton's in it. But yeah, that homeless dude, man, I borrowed his headphones, and dude, the rap was horrible. It wasn't even a rap. I don't even think it was his song. It just felt taken advantage of. Which makes you think about Ronald Reagan, because Reagan, next time, when I see homeless dudes, when I see people struggling out on the street, those are Reagan's boys. That's what I call them, Reagan's boys. Because if you look back, they had a law that was passed in the 60s that provided like a lot of assistance and special care for mental health people. Well, when Reagan was in office, the law got repealed, and all of a sudden, all the money that was going towards helping people that were, just straight up, just a bunch of freaking soul wizards out there, they were out on the street. And a lot of them are still out there. A lot of them have been mating with other homeless people and making, other people that are out there and that are having a tough time and troubled. And that's Reagan, bruh. That's Reagan. Everybody, Reagan takes a nice picture. He's got nice hair. I respect all that. Decent actor. But Reagan, when you see some people that are out there schizophrenic and really struggling, and those are Reagan's boys, man. So, I don't know if Nancy Reagan's still alive, but you could probably tweet at her about it. Oh, man. What else, dude? What else, man? Had some adult sex, bruh. Had some adult sex. And it was good. It was cool. It was cool. I think I gotta, make sure that when I am getting sexually involved, that I'm, making sure it's like for something poignant, it's for a real relationship or in that sort of vein. Because I'll say this, dude, if you stay out there just ding-a-linging every, piece of slick canal that pops up, it's not going to help your heart, and I know I'm almost preaching to the choir. So maybe I had a moment, fit of weakness or something. I don't know. At the same time, you're trying to be a man, and this girl was cool. She's a neat chick, but I do realize that my triceps aren't what they used to be. That's for sure. I've really just felt kind of meek in the triceps, So that really kind of hurt my feelings a little bit, got in my head. And one of my hips was clicking. I mean, just Morse code and the whole time. So that's, and this girl's a little younger than me. And so that's just, I don't know if that's a turnoff. Is that a turnoff if you're a younger girl? If any younger women are listening to this, or young men who, who prefer to be with men, if you're having sex with a man and he's older than you and his hip clicks or his bones are clicking, and I already have a weak neck. I've always had a weak neck. Never anything I feared more than a headlock. If there was one buddy I had growing up that was always headlocking people, and man, I couldn't be friends with him after a while, just out of the fear. Just I couldn't. I don't think I could go through a headlock, a good headlock. I couldn't go through it. But if there's any young ladies out there who, who do sex with older, with more adult men. Is that a turnoff? Do you notice that? Like if a man's kind of, his bones are clicking or something, if you guys are being sensual. Anyway, let me know. Let me know if you know. Sober sex, man, that's sober sex. That's for children, I feel like. Sober sex is for children, dude. When you're young, you can be sober and have sex, bro. It's awesome. You don't notice all your own deficiencies or inconsistencies. You don't notice like your ashy skin, or that you need moisturizer on your ass, or you don't notice that you just don't notice all your faults. But when you get out there as an adult, you're doing sober sex, man, it's all your senses are so heightened, they're active. You just, things are getting out of sorts. It's just so anyway, if there's any children out there, do sex when you're, sober sex is for children. That's when you do it. Get out there and, get your eggs moist out there. But do it when you're young, because when you get older, it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same. But yeah, man, took this young lady out, bought her a little shellfish, bruh. They got this place around the corner. They do a nice little clam dinner. They get you a big dish of clams, and you kind of sit there. You can teamwork a little bit, and and that's really, I feel like, always been the way to a girl's heart, man. You throw her some shellfish in a lady, and unless they're allergic, if they're allergic, they'll turn red. So that's a stop. That's a no-go. Shut it down for the night, bro. When you throw shellfish in a lady, bro, you almost have to hide your dick because they come out. Their libido really strikes up. Even some of that seaweed, bro, you warm it up, that hot kale, bro. You fill a broad up with hot kale, son, you ready. You're going to have to exercise some pee control, baby. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, boy, you throw a batch of hot clams in a girl, dog. Oh, you better have some pussy control ready, bro. And I hate to use the P word, man. I know a lot of ladies don't like that, but that's what's up, man. So yeah, man, got the girl, we had a nice time, sweet gal. She works at, met her at a one of those, not a eat and go, what's that gas station? I think it's Hit and Run or Eat and Go. Hit and Run? No, Hit and Run I think is an accident. It's Eat and Run. She worked at a gas station, inside, not outside. She's not pumping the gas. She's not really kind of an outdoors woman. She's more of an indoor service center. She works in the service center at a gas station, dealing with, people want to pay for their gas, get coffee, snacks, and different indoor elements that she's vending in there. But nice girl, man. I met her a couple times when I was getting a tank, and then, we warmed to each other, and next thing you know, we went on, this is a second date that we went on, and she got some nice hair, and just really, she's not the brightest, I don't think, really. She's not dumb. She just isn't, when it comes to knowledge, it's not really her strong suit, I would say, But anyway, so we got sensual, and now I just got to monitor my feelings, because when I was younger, if I would get sensual with a woman, get sexual, do sexual activity, do some adult sex, a lot of times I would just kind of, hide from them, or, or not communicate. But now I'm trying to communicate clearly exactly what my feelings are. And that's tough to do, man. Living life on life's terms, man, it's tough to do. So just trying to be an adult about the scenario. So, keep me in your thoughts about that if you can, because I'm going to try to be honest with this girl. And I can always use support when it comes to that, I feel like. What else, dude? Let's get into a little bit more. Let's cover a little more sensuality. I talked about blowjobs on the past thing, oral sex. So I'll tell you about this. When I was young, when I was a younger man, I was a child, really. I was just a middle-aged child. And they had one of my first girlfriends. Now, they had a girl in our school who'd done some blowjobs, and that was the rumor anyway. And once that rumor hits the air, it's, when I was young anyway, it was, the girls were like all shaming her, but all the dudes were like, whoa, Tanya's got that mouth, boo boo. So anyhow, she liked me, man. She liked me. And this was like the first girl, or really maybe the second girl that ever liked me. I dated another girl that really was like a young man almost. She had real short hair. And whenever we would hug, kids would yell out the bus and call us, they would call us fags, honestly. They would call us homosexuals. Even though and I would yell back, this is a girl, because I wanted to stand up for her. But that still kind of hurts my feelings because she was a sweet girl, real smart, and grew up to be beautiful. But at the time, she was, going through puberty, and so was I. And, just people were changing. You can morph into like the other sex for a couple of during puberty, you'll meet somebody during the afternoon. Morning, they'll look fine. In the afternoon, their neck is an inch longer. Or, they hit like a feminine speed bump in their puberty trail, and so you don't know. But anyway, she and I were going through puberty around the same time, and man, our loins were fired up every day, and we would touch hands, and my just fucking legs would get straight. That's how just erect I was at that time. Just, God, I couldn't even turn my neck. The blood was just so tight. I couldn't even turn my weak little neck. Anyhow, so anyway, this other girl, there was rumor that she'd done some blowjobs. So I'm fired up, because she liked me, and she was cute and she was funny. And we went, there was a party or something, and she and I were going to make out, bro, and so this was my big opportunity. I was a young man, and I was just coming into my feelings, and my nipples were hard. One of my nipples stayed hard for, dude, probably 7 or 8 years, bro. My left nipple, I remember, it was just so sensitive, it was just a tender, just little, it was just like a little fucking mole of sensuality at the tip of my little, chest, boy breast. And anyhow, so we supposed to meet at this party. She and I were going to meet off in the woods, and we're going to do some blowjob. I was going to, be the recipient of this, novel new practice, really, as far as I was concerned, because it was new in my zeitgeist of thought or zeitgeist of life. Nobody was getting this. This was hot activity, man. And so we started, kind of kissing a little bit, and I was nervous, dude. I was so nervous. I didn't have any feelings in my body. And so she was like kind of getting my junk out, and a mom saw us, dude. Somebody's mom came up and saw us, and I just felt so ashamed, bro. Oh, dude, this mom walked up and saw us, right? Dude. And there was like a pine tree right there, and I went and hid behind the pine tree. Like, there was no other, it was so obvious. And the mom's like, she knew me, she's like, Theo. And I just pretended like I wasn't there, bro. And I was literally 9 feet away from her behind this pine tree. And she like walked over a few feet at a different angle, and she could obviously see me. And anyhow, that kind of ended the relationship with the young lady. There was just too much. It was just, I don't know. I was just nervous, and it brought a lot of attention to you, when you could be the future recipient of the first blowjob out of all your friends. It's just, all people are asking you about is this and this and this, and, about your how you're feeling today, and making sure you eat an extra lunch. You got to gear up, and, make sure you're not, they're giving all, like, idiot kids giving you, like, don't masturbate, you gotta masturbate, like, just crazy advice, and just whatever, dude, and eating different foods, man, you gotta drink more water, you gotta make sure your dick's right, So I was doing all kinds of crazy stuff, man. I remember borrowing some of my mom's lotion and putting that around my crotch and I was just a young guy. I was going through it. So that was just kind of like my first oral experience, dude. It didn't go well, and I think I carried a lot of shame from that because I was just a lot of embarrassment, and then the girl and I ended up breaking up, and I think I was kind of bummed because she was really a really cool chick, and who knows if she'd ever given a blowjob before. But anyway, that's my early blowjob story. But yeah, man, I got a peach yogurt. I got a peach yogurt as well because they got these fruit bits in it, and that's good stuff. So I got that peach as well. I want to get to a question from somebody. I'm tired, man. It's late, but on Snapchat, the Blessed asked me, the BLEST asked me, what's my favorite road comedy story? And I'm gonna tell you this story. This is a story that was told to me, but it's the best story that I've ever heard. So a comedian told me he was performing one time in the Midwest somewhere, and after the show, this hot chick comes up to him right off the stage and starts flirting with him all over him. And he was like a moderate looking dude, you know. I'm an 8. I know I'm an 8. I'm a healthy 8, bro. As long as I take care of my teeth, I'm an 8. I'm cool with where I'm at. You know, I'm not jumping in conclusions. But this guy, he told me he's like this hot chick, and he said she was out of my league. That's what he said. She was all over me, bro. All over me. So, you know, the place starts to shut down. We have a couple of cocktails. She and I are both liquored up. And I'm like, well, why don't you come back to my hotel? And she's like, well, why don't you come with me to my place? And the next day, he had to fly out the next day at like noon. So he's like, you know, I don't know where it is. And I think it was in Cincinnati. And he's like, I already don't know kind of where I am. And I don't know if that's the best idea. And he said the girl got kind of upset, but that she came back to his hotel with him anyway. So they start kind of making out in his room. And this girl was like one of those crazy girls that like starts biting you. You ever get that girl? Like you're just trying to kiss and she's like trying to bite you all sexually, but like, you know, like she'll like bite you on your chin and she bites you too hard. And then you're pissed off and you're missing a little bit of skin or something on your cheek. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, this is not joy for anyone. This is not joy for anyone. But anyway, so he said she was like that. She was all over him and biting him and just kind of pulling his hair. And he didn't even have much hair. And now he doesn't have really any hair at all. So I wonder if that kind of resonates with him a little bit when he thinks back. But anyway, she kept saying, let's go back to my place. Let's go back to my place. I've got drugs. I've got pills, you know. She kept saying that her dad was a doctor and she's got pills and all this stuff. And my buddy started to get freaked out. He was like, it was at the point where she was so hot that I kept keeping her around and I kept getting bit. But it was scary. It was scary. So finally he's like, look, you got to go. And when he said that, she like threw a phone book or something in his room. This is when they had phone books. And a phone book, dangerous fucking instrument. Thank God we evolved to just like online yellow pages or white pages, because that thing, probably a lot of spouses and, you know, weak males have lost their life to a phone book, I bet. But anyhow, he said that she threw the phone book at him, started throwing shit in his room at him, so he kicked her out. Well, the feature act, the guy who was opening up for him on the road, a younger dude, was right down the hall, right? And he heard the commotion or whatever, so he had come to his door. And while the chick is leaving, she sees him. And she'd seen him on stage earlier before, too, because she was at the show where she met the headliner. So she starts flirting with this guy. Well, he doesn't really know what has occurred. He just knows that this hot chick all of a sudden is all over him, this young dude. And she's like, you should come with me. And so, of course, the young dude, bro, you know, his nuts are straight up whispering in his ears, let's go. So he left. He left out with her. They took a taxi or whatever, about 40 minutes, and they get out to this house and like off this like kind of a little bit of a, not shady area, but like a wooded area. And she takes him inside and they start hooking up in this room. And she's like, do you want me to, is it okay if I handcuff you? And he's like, sure, yeah, that's cool. You know, he's like all fired up. So this chick like handcuffs him, and she'd taken some pills or something right when they got there, and they're all fucked up. Well, she handcuffs him, starts giving him a blowjob, and then she passes out, like unconscious, like in his lap, like unconscious, dude. Which has got to be, I mean, I can't even imagine that. And he's handcuffed at this house. He doesn't know this girl really. and the door to the room is open. And then he sees headlights flash across the walls, like a car turning into the driveway. The driveway, right? So this dude's just losing his mind, bro. Probably just coming in his brain, but not like real sweet seed. Probably just straight up scare and fear, just juice, just flowing out of his cerebellum stem into his brain, right? And then he hears the front door open, like with keys. And a man, a grown man, walks past the room, peeks in, sees him, sees the girl, walks into the kitchen. He can hear the guy in the kitchen, hears the guy do some stuff. Then the guy comes in, picks the girl up. It's a man about in his 50s. Picks the girl up, takes her out of the room. And the whole time my buddy's like, or not my buddy, but this guy's, this guy who's there, who's chained up to the bed, is like apologizing, and the old dude's not talking to him. So he's like scared out of his mind, and they didn't have cell phones. This is before they had cell phones. So he's like freaking out. There's nothing he can do. The dude comes back in. He's like, don't make a word. Don't make a sound. Don't say a thing. And he sits on the bed next to the guy. And he's like, if I ever see you with my daughter again, it's not going to end well for you. And the dude is like scared and squirrely and everything. And then the guy gives the young dude a blowjob, man. And he tells him, like, if he doesn't go along with it, that, you know, I don't know, maybe bad things are going to happen or whatever. But he gives the dude a blowjob, bruh. Like with a face and a penis, dude. And then, so the guy finishes or whatever. The dad then goes into the kitchen and like apparently like made himself like a sandwich or something. I guess the kid said he could hear the dad in there making a sandwich. And not the kid. The guy's not a kid. He's probably in his early 20s. But then the dad comes back in, unlocks him, tells him if he ever sees him with his daughter again, that things are going to be even worse, and then just kicks him out of the house. So then you got this young dude walking in the middle of nowhere, no phone, gets to a payphone, calls the headliner, the dude who had kicked the girl out of his room earlier, calls her, and calls him, and says, man, you got to come pick me up. Like, this is where I am. And the headliner came and picked him up. And when the guy got back in his car, that's the story that he told him. He told him what happened. And that's the story that headliner told me. And that's the best road story that I've ever heard. I mean, it's not great, obviously, because, you know, there's a lot of crime in there. There's sexual, you know, deviancy. There's, you know, I mean, the guy, I guess, got orally, you know, raped or attacked. You know, it's not right. But it's fucking wild, bruh. You know what I'm saying, dude? That's a crazy story. And I can't imagine that this headliner could make that up. I mean, it's just too intense, man. It's just too intense, bro. So the blessed, that's the craziest story I ever heard. I know that this pod has had a lot of profanity and stuff in it, man. And I'm sorry, bro, but I'm tired. You know, I'm tired. And when my brain gets weak, sometimes it resorts to verbal, you know, it just wants to be naughty. It just wants to be naughty. He got a naughty brain. He got a naughty brain. But yeah, I'm going to break down real quick, maybe just a run through, quick recap. I got to eat yogurts, you know, so I'm square there. I thought Melania looked good. Thoughts and prayers to the people in Georgia and Mississippi that were affected by the tornadoes. A lot of death over there. I got to get my triceps in order because, you know, this, and I got to check on this click and hip, you know, because it's just, you're losing points there sexually, I think. If any younger girls or girls, not young girls, you know, of age, adult women, have any thoughts on that, let me know. Or, yeah, women, you know, or if you're married and your husband, his body's clicking and stuff during sex, how do you acknowledge that? Do you let that pass? Men, if there's something you do, if there's like a silencer or something you can put on, like you wear a brace on your knee or something, or you know, wear like a thick accoutrement around your waist to kind of hide some of the click or muffle it, let me know. If you see two homeless people making out, do what I do, bro. Call the cops, bro. Every time. Call the cops. And the ladies seem like, well, what's the crime? And I'm like, if they have sex and have a child, they're going to make immediately that child is homeless. Immediately. And I don't think that, outdoor people and people that are having trouble don't deserve the best. But I don't know if that's the best way to go about it. So, what else, man? Let me just give you I'll give you an update on how I'm feeling, bro. I've just been feeling a little down in the dumps, honestly, this past weekend. So, it's kind of a bummer. I feel a little bit sick from that dude's headphones, but yeah, my spirits just aren't super up. So I'm hoping that tomorrow's, will be, obviously tomorrow's a new day, and I'm going to start off with, hopefully maybe a little bit light prayer, maybe some meditation. I'm still stuck with my no masturbation policy, so that's going strong, and I guess there are some positives, and I just got to focus on that. But sometimes it's not easy, sometimes it's not easy to keep, it's just, life's tough, and sometimes you don't even know what it is, man. Like I've suffered from depression a lot of years. You don't know what it is, but it could be anything, it could be anything. So, but that's a little bit of what's going on with me. I feel like we've been going for a long time, so I'm going to postpone those oral sounds till next week, because we already talked enough about sexuality here today, I feel like, and that sort of thing. But I got another great story from my youth about oral sex, but I'll tell that another time. But yeah, if you have any thoughts on the episode or on the podcast or anything, just let me know, because I'm trying to do my best. I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm literally just sitting up in my apartment, just talking into a recorder in the middle of the night. So if this ain't weird, I don't know what is, but everything is. So, but I do appreciate you guys listening to me. I feel a little bit better than when I started. I almost kind of feel like I had somebody to talk to a little bit. So maybe that's bizarre, but I don't know. Everything's bizarre. But take care of yourself. Why don't you do that, huh? Be good to yourself this week. You owe it to yourself to try and be good to yourself. Take some contrary actions. If you're not feeling good, try something different. If you got somebody to love, tell them you love them, bro. If you got a mother, call them. Tell them you love them. It's the only mother you ever gonna have, man. It's the only one you ever gonna have, bro. I don't care how much you hate her. Give her a buzz. Listen to her for an extra 10 minutes. Did I call Mom the other day? I don't even know what the fuck she was talking about, dude. And most of the time I don't. But at this age, even though we, had odds at a lot of time in our life, I just listen. I just listen. I just listen. I'm not saying that I'm a good person because of that. I'm just saying that that I know that one day I'll look back and probably regret that I didn't. So anyhow, yeah, sorry if I'm kind of dour. I'm just being however I can be. But congrats to the Atlanta Falcons fans. Congrats to the New England Patriots fans. Man, Bill Belichick, he's good. He's good. Pittsburgh didn't show up. They just didn't show up. But fuck the Saints, man. I love the Saints, but I just cannot deal with Sean Payton as the coach. Gotta go. Anyhow, that's enough sports talk. I'm actually going to look on some stuff online, how I can strengthen my neck a little bit. I bought this neck weight thing a while back. It's like this hula hoop for your neck. But it seemed more dangerous, I felt like, after a while than actually beneficial. But we'll see. We'll see, man. But this is January 23rd. I hope you have a great week. And again, any constructive criticism. I know this episode got long. I'll try to make it shorter in the future. I don't even know what I'm doing. But take care of yourself. I got some dates coming up. I'll be in Baltimore in February. In February I'll be in Baltimore. There's a chance I could come to Jacksonville. I should know that tomorrow. And I'll be in Virginia Beach this weekend. And I'll be in Chicago the following weekend, February 2nd through 4th, out in Schaumburg. But we got a lot of cool dates coming up this year. And I appreciate you guys being here. This is this past weekend, man. Have a great day, huh? Take care of yourself, huh? All right. That's it. That's it, boy. So weird that we do this in America, but that's America, man. We're a weird place. I think we're starting to recognize that. I think everybody's starting to recognize that. But I'm happy that I live here, man. I feel just blessed to be in this country. The fact that we can even discuss how people feel. I remember going to Cuba once, and people would run up to the windows and they would tell us like that they were prisoners. But I was an American. I was just drinking in their streets and being a dumb American. But I do remember that. So we're pretty blessed, man. I am. We all are. Do we recognize it? I hope so. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about, dude. That fucking homeless guy. Just gotta carry my own headphones with me from now on. I just shouldn't have listened. I shouldn't have listened. I knew I shouldn't have. A hit. I knew it wasn't gonna be a hit. There was zero chance of it being a hit, dude. But part of me wants, my inner Lou Pearlman wants to, I don't know. Whatever, man. You guys be good, huh? Hail to the chief. You're the chief. You are the chief, whoever you are. Hail to yourself, huh? Be good.